Yeah, unsolicited, non-consensual touching.
Caressing their
Yeah.
shoulder.
And someone who's in a supposedly going to be therapeutic atmosphere for police brutality crisis, who has been locked in a solitary confinement cell for 14 hours, who is been at that point we were dealing with the remainder of breakfast, the scraps, the security guard who attacked Benjamin Pickering was assisting me get ice in Ben's water bottle, and we had a few words before the attack. I made the mistake of thinking everything was so chilled out, like I can go to the nurse's station to get the water, the security guard is letting me, everything's cool, Ben's gonna be fine, there's tons of witnesses present. So at the point that I've been on Ben, like I never get 2 feet from him all 14 hours because I don't trust these people, I've let my guard down. I'm a few feet away getting the water bottle. I've got like a tub of fried potatoes with ketchup in my hand as the attack happened, and I know for sure that was true because at a certain point, as the security guard is jumping at Ben, pushing his arms at Ben, and shouting at Ben, I put my potatoes down on the ground, contemplate should I lie down on the ground, will I be safer, or should I continue to try to be a human shield to keep this security guard off my boyfriend, Benjamin Pickering? And I'm literally like, this guy's tall, big, and heavy. And he's shouting. I can see through my peripheral vision his arm flying over the back of my head as I attempt to shield Benjamin. And I'm talking loudly, please don't raise your voice, don't raise your voice. Because it's like the last thing Ben needs is an angry law enforcement official shouting at him. And I've just had to try to have a talk with the security guards. Ben has a bad reaction. He's a Portland police brutality victim. Please do not shout at him. Please do not touch him. At which point I breach Ben's confidentiality just in the interest of getting him better care and explain Ben's a sexual assault survivor. He doesn't like men touching him. Leave him alone. Like, please do not touch him. And one of the security guards, I mean, I don't like personal contact and strangers in my face either, but he was just like up on the door looking at me like, oh yeah, you know everything. And then Miss sort of Nurse Ratched, who got really sinister towards the end, she's like, well, you don't need to be lecturing security about how they need to behave. She literally told me that right before the attack. And then I'm standing at the door trying to explain to the security guard to leave Ben alone, stop tormenting him, stop picking on him. Stop touching him, don't ask him to pee in a cup, don't do any of this. I got a urine sample from Ben in the room, which came with assistance because he's blind, and it's hard to do when you're blind and you're uncircumcised, so and have issues. So that I'm basically being utilized as a med tech to like get Ben's urine sample was.
Yeah, don't in your recollection of this, my suggestion would be for you as well to pick sides in terms of who you are to Ben. You're not a med tech. Ben's like you're not his unpaid emotional support system. You're his friend or his boyfriend. I mean, a girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you are to him. Your mother's a nurse, so you have some understanding of these things. And he's your boyfriend. That's about as far as it goes. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you don't have to explain that you should not be the person in the room having to do all of these things and also being held with him.
And okay, here's another detail. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. At a certain point, Ben needs to go to the bathroom. They demand a urine sample. They threaten Mary's going to leave if he doesn't give a urine sample. They refuse to acknowledge his proctology issues. They refuse to acknowledge his blindness. They refuse to acknowledge his sexual assault issues. So they're giving this invasive genital order to him with
and they said not to give feedback about the security guard.
So that was after, I believe, this incident where they extort him and basically say, give us a urine sample or we're going to have Mary leave.
Wow.
So I was forced to collaborate with Ben to provide a urine sample. And I was like, wow, this is really getting like China, like human trafficking in bodily fluids. So by the price of a little bit of Ben's urine, I was able to buy a few more minutes in Providence emergency room 16. Then I'm trying. This all happened at 11:39, and I think our intake might have been at 9 the night before. I'm guessing like 14-ish hours, maybe 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal, Mary.
Yeah.
That's absolutely unreal.
Yeah. Okay. No. Here's the little bad worst part. Is Ben says, "Okay, Mary, I have to take a shit," and I'm like, "Okay, Ben, we'll ask for a bathroom break." So we go ask for a bathroom break, and they say, "Oh, you have to pee in the cup," blah blah blah, and Mary's not coming, and then Ben's like, "I have to take a shit," and I'm like, Ben needs to poop. And so this constant desire for urine when Ben has a different kind of defecatory need is driving him crazy too, because he has to talk about his poop with 3 male security guards and 1 female or 2 female nurses. At which point Ben is saying, "You're not my girlfriend. Please leave the room. I don't want to talk with you about my personal issues." You know, he should have he's toilet trained. He's fine. So he doesn't need this many people personally invading his privacy and his bodily functions. And
So wait a minute.
she brought a bedpan and was telling him he was going to have to poop in this stand-up walking toilet seat chamber pot thing.
Why?
Because she was denying him bathroom breaks. That's
Why?
as a form of torture.
But what was she getting out of it other than you're assuming that she was just getting pleasure out of the control dynamic, but what was it if it wasn't that?
It was
Let's say she was given orders to not let people in this sort of ward or whatever it is to have too many bathroom breaks. Why would it be?
Yeah, she actually complained to us that Ben has already had lots of bathroom breaks, and explained, well, he needs to poop again.
That's what it was. So it was a control issue. It was entirely a control issue.
And she was going to force a person to hold his defecation. And Ben was saying, well, I'll just hold it then. I'll just hold it then.
But she was still okay with you staying in the room at this point.
Because we then purchased more time with a small urine sample Ben provided in a corner. This is all on camera.
My point is this.
Yeah.
He was clearly embarrassed about sharing personal information about his defecatory needs.
Yeah.
And the nurse was still okay with him defecating in a pan while you're in the room.
Right.
Wow. Mary, this is a pretty solid case.
Yeah, and so you can see the way the deliberate infliction of this constant slow drip.
And this was before the attack?
Oh, yeah. This is before the attack. And you know, Dan, you're the first person I told this to, because the freshness of the severe crushing of his body, this same door that Ben is trying to negotiate for bathroom breaks, as he pops his head out, maybe he needs to go to the bathroom. Maybe he wants to wash his face. He's wondering where I am, is what I'm thinking, is why he pops his head out. As he pops his blind left eye, the door is smashed from his head all the way down to his torso with maximum evil force.
Oh my God.
A big 4-foot-long, super wide, heavy, like human-proof door.
Mary, this has got to be taken all the way. It's got to be taken all the way, full force. There's no way these security guards can get away with this. If this type of ignorance and negligence is allowed to continue on in the hospital, people's health and well-being and lives are at stake.
Yeah.
This has got to be taken all the way, for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad you think so. Yeah. Thanks for your support, Dan. You're amazing.
Listen, next time somebody asks about what happens and you feel comfortable enough to tell them, just tell them I was allowed to be kept with Ben in emergency care. The environment was terrible. I stepped out momentarily. Ben popped his head out to look where I was, and the security guard forcefully slammed the door on his head. And that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what also is at that point, Ben had been denied me. And Ben and I were doing last minute kisses at the door, like Romeo and Juliet. And Gretchen, this angry, tiny little evil, mean nurse, comes over to us after her security guards have been molesting Ben. She says, "Well, this is ridiculous. You're leaving. You're making it worse." She blames it all on me. Like the fact that Ben's getting no care is all my fault suddenly.
Right.
So
It's your fault. It's your fault. Their negligence is your fault.
Their negligence is my fault, so therefore I'm excluded. At which point I'm giving Ben a kiss, and my understanding was I was going back towards the station to possibly get like the remainder of the food and the ice water. I've got the potatoes in my hand for sure, but I have the ice water too. I think I had ice water in one hand, potatoes in the other. And as the security guard lunges across me, see, the lunging across me was an assault against me. That's where I think I need to interpret this as a crime against me, that a man lunged into me wildly, like jamming his arms over my head, and the fact that I almost got trampled in his attack as he verbally screams at and verbally harasses Ben.
Right, so Ben poked his head out the door as you were coming back to the door?
Well, Ben is being screamed at, retreats to his room, as I'm trying to be a human shield against the violent security guard who's...
So his head has already been smashed in the door.
No, I'm sorry. This is the prelude. Ben has gone in and out. But he's gone out. I'm getting the food and stuff. I'm trying to protect Ben. Ben retreats. Ben reappears thinking all is clear. Or maybe thinking I'm about to get killed. Death by security guard or whatever. But this security guard has a vendetta on him. He's aggressive to him, verbally abusive. I have loudly called it out. Stop screaming! Don't raise your voice! Leave Ben alone! Ben! And so at the point that the security guard is screaming at Ben, I'm like, well, this is not helping to have some anger, because this angry man should know. And I've tried to go around to every security and be like, you know Ben has a traumatic brain injury. You know Ben has recently been beaten by Portland police. You know Ben is blind in his left eye. When his left eye is the eye that poked out. And most likely Ben was just coming back for one more kiss, knowing firmly that I had been kicked out of the ER by Gretchen.
Wow.
So, why don't you have some chamomile tea or something, and maybe we'll talk later. I was asleep. I kind of need to. I feel like I need a cup of juice or tea or something.
Wow, Mary. Okay, well, all right. I love you. I'll talk to you soon, and